A lone figure in a doorway holds his gaze for a while. Transfixed on soulful hills, his fate he tries to reconcile. He breathes pure mountain air, knows the lay of this land, every field, each flower like the contours of his hand. Attuned to the nightingale's song, walked every path and hollow, hears sounds of ewes, lambs, sees the flight of the swallow. Aware of the moment in spring where bright bluebells bloom, the aroma of red roses, delights of nature's perfume. Pristine white-topped mountains, meadows of cotton grass blows, on fresh summer breezes, reflections of winter snows. Cast was he then into the eye of the storm, with winds fast and furious, condemned to die by a uniform. The tempest raged on where the waves were not water, like millions he fell in an avalanche of slaughter. As his eyes closed slowly at the dying of the day, in the distance he heard a golden harp play. In the sky he saw a majestic purple moon as he was called by his God far, far too soon. We, the ghosts of tomorrow, are marching today, whistling our songs on the Menin highway. In our minds the thought, will this day be our last, as we daydream of loved ones and peaceful days past. We know that death has no discrimination, cares not for colour, creed or religion. The machine guns, bullet and artillery shells have created an all too real living hell. Oh God, oh why did I come from my quiet valley in Wales to the slaughterhouse of Passchendaele? Dear Mum and Dad, please try not to worry too much about me. I volunteered to do my bit to keep our country free. Give my love to my brothers and sisters, I miss them all so much. Oh Mum, I'm so very frightened, terrified deep down inside. But I'm a soldier now, so these feelings I must hide. Please God, I don't want to die, I'm just 19. I want to cry, for Mother to hold me very tight and to dry the tears in my eyes. Come on Thomas boy, don't be slow. It's a time now, over the top you go. I charge, sprint 2 yards, a wall of bullets fly, and then I slam to the slaughter, this is how I die. My soul flies free now, no resting place in the ground. 500,000 comrades, just like me, none of our bodies ever found. My spirits want to say to the generals and politician men, let no more people meet such a gruesome end. Dear God, let not all our pain and suffering be in vain. Make sure no more wars ever happen again. At the pit, a stone wall, high as a mountain, towers over me. Black-faced miners walk to the barn, picking cigarettes from holes. Then I spot him, one in the line, Dad. The old miner, slowly he walked, every step Herculean, until he reached the low wall in front of our house, where he sat and tried to catch his breath, which never came as a cooling breeze on a scorching day. Dust, explained my father, the days breathed in by the old, dignified, hunched miner, labouring up our road, each step a harder shift than any he worked underground. To the top of Merthyr Tydfil, we walked together, full of life and the vigour of youth. Sun on our backs, cards in a pack, coins in our pockets, our group of high rollers. A Roman burial hill, ancient church with headstones smoothed by old Father Time and the elements. Beautiful green landscapes, like our futures, all right there in front of us. We found our Avalon that first time, past the tall, ephemeral freedom, slept by fire and the stars when the light stopped shining. Another world of song, wandering minstrels, sharing tunes and stories. We were dreamers in a new world, free spirits in halcyon days. Our brave miners struck in 1984. They knew what they were fighting for. Jobs, communities, the future was at stake. Attacked full force by the might of the state.
If you want a picture of the future, Imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever.
Don't give me revisionism about the vote. They'd already voted with their feet, take note. You remember the police riot in the Orgrave field? Battered by pigs with truncheons and shields.
The object of power is power. The object of torture is torture.
MacGregor was Thatcher's hatchet man. Their crew tooled up with a master plan. They shut most of the mines, then later more brutal revenge for strikes in 72 and 74.
The object of persecution is persecution.
Naked force, not real negotiation. Phones were tapped, spooks listening in to our boys, their enemy within. Police violence reversed by the BBC to show its opposite on our TVs.
Big Brother is watching you.
All are in his field of view. Villages were turned into battlegrounds, state thugs, no numbers on shoulders, never to be found. Miners viciously assaulted, with bones broken, taken to court, perversion of justice, heartbroken.
War is peace. Ignorance is strength.
The establishment would go to any length. We couldn't expect much different from the ruling elite. But why did our leaders kiss their feet? A Labour leader, courage of a dead sheep. Trade union bottlers, enough to make you weep.
We do not merely destroy our enemies, we change them.
Ain't the people more concerned with monetary income? What a newspeak so dumbed down to become meaningless, more useless can't be found. Doublespeak became the order of the day. It's even worse now they know no other way.
We must not let the past be erased. Erasure forgotten.
The behaviour of the state and others totally rotten. They wrecked an industry, decimated communities, though solidarity forged unlikely unities. Our boys took on the state and lost the defeat, a legacy to our own cost. So don't let the lessons go down the memory hole.
If there is hope, it lies in the prose.
I think I first saw you as part of our group, one where the love of music had taken root. Listening to records, watching bands, a gang of friends holding hands. With your wild frizzy hair, dash of freckles, our drunken nights out could become a bit reckless. You were the one with a heart of gold, so no doubt in anybody wouldn't be told. You occupied the seats in a men-only bar, direct action, not whinging from afar. Animal rights, vegetarian, a wildflower, a harbinger, precursor of girl power. Over Newbridge Memo on a Sunday night, holding hands, it felt just right. I fell for you, of that there's no doubt. We became an item going out. We were younger then, with carefree ways, playing records to while away the days. We lay in fields in summer sun, messing about, having fun. Never one for a public show of affection. If I tried, a forced scowl shot in my direction. You followed your instinct, chose a caring path, becoming a nurse to those with mental handicap. You woke, got ready, another normal day, got in the car for work, you're on your way. Black ice, skids, terror, one last breath, a terrible crash, instant death. Why would God or fate act in this way? There's no rhyme or reason, no one can say. The world was robbed on that fateful morn. A still blossoming flower was shorn, torn, ripped from everyone you loved. I still mourn. 22 years of age, what age is that to die? They say the good die young, they don't say when. I've had twice your life and then some more. The luck of the draw is that the score. I return to the house that you made your nest. A Tracy Chapman LP still on the record deck. I forever cry if I hear Fast Car. That song reopens an emotional scar. And yet all these years later, I shut my eyes. It's you I can see. You come to me again, sometimes deep in my dream. And when I look up and see a shining star, I think it's a twinkle in your eye from afar. Like the brightest sun after the darkest night. For me, your star will always burn bright. What has become of the country I once loved, of strong foundations, blue-scarred, black-veined solidarity, sense of community ideals, bonds forged by the danger of cramped coal faces and molten fire furnaces, when an earlier generation staged an insurrection for the vote, and people fought for noble causes. Brave men once burned a bomb in school and others built a healthcare system for all to be replaced by identical politicians cut from the same cloth as the grey suits they wear, who preen as part of the system machine and genuflect before royals and Westminster arsonists who burn countries and communities. Yet still I see hope in the sparks and embers of the fire where the young forge new dreams, unburdened by defeats and despair. Out of the darkness let there be a torched flame held high to lead the way to a better land.
Pwy sy'n cofio'r 24, plant, merched a gwaithwyr, pobl o Merthyr oedd wedi diflannu. Pwy sy'n dod o hyd yr enwau, nid arglwyddi neu faestri bu farw ar y strydoedd. Pwy sy'n gwneud y cofer, dydy'r cyngor neu'r llywodraeth ddim yn gofalu am ein hanes. Pwy sy'n atseinio eu llaisiau, eto yn y sgwâr maen nhw'n gwaeddu, mor swnllyd na'r peiriannau. Who remembers? Who remembers the 24 children, women and workers that disappeared of Merthyr? Who will find their names? It was not lords or masters killed on our streets. Who will build their memorial? Neither council nor government care enough about our history. Who echoes their voices? Again in the square they chant, louder than any machines. When Banksy come to Merthyr, nobody believed it was him. Why would he come here when he done Port Talbot last year? It was a picture of a huge pigeon cacking on this grey pointy tower, a bird with attitude, flown straight from a bus station. It was up on a wall up Swansea Road on the way to Trago. Perfectly picked so people knew. It caused a right commotion. Thousands visited, took selfies. Council done fuck all as always. It was on the news and front page of a Merthyr. One landowner said the wall was his, but the council claimed it. Put up a screen and fencing, CCTV and everything. To this local graffiti artist said he'd done it. Anonymous Bosch, he called himself. Then nobody give a toss. Council withdrew, telly disappeared. It's still there, just as clear. Owner of Trago wants it covered up. Filthy, disgusting muck. On a bus back home, they was all talking. Something was going on, but they weren't sure what. Somebody says it was the climate changes. Somebody else the gays. Then this bloke, always been Labour, says, nah, it's them indie lot. They had 40,000 in Cardiff last week. Well, I don't know. There's no buses and the roads are all closed, moans this old woman. Independence, the driver joins in. How can we afford it? We get more than we put in. Man with a Union Jack shirt and Help the Heroes on starts muttering and swearing like he was going to kick off. Till this dozy bugger says, why do they want to change the climate anyway? It's getting bloody warmer. So everyone laughs their bloody heads off. She used to live above me. I could hear the comings and goings, their laughter and screaming. Never knew she weren't coping. Though she did joke once, I'm even in debt to a fucking food bank. Mostly she was smiling, but sometimes I could see the worries gnawing away. Rats in the drains and sewers, bringing disease to her kids. She was a cleaner on fuck all pay. Blokes had come and leave, her kids come first every time. Few returned, sniffing, but not for long. Her sister found her. I know who is to blame. This town's seen too many martyrs. As we remember Tydfil, and of course Dick Penderyn, there'll be no memorial for Lisa. We haven't even got a tidy road between south and north. Got to travel by train to England just to get to West Wales. What will we do without all our money in London? And how could we possibly survive without the Queen visiting every few years? We don't produce nothing now our mines have gone. We got loads of mountains, but they're useless, innit? We should look to Westminster. Well, maybe not today. I'm Welsh as you are. Nobody cheers louder when we score and win, but going it alone's beyond. We'll end up, everyone divided, the whole country arguing, and no bloody solutions. Personally, I can't wait for global bloody warming. Imagine Costa Merthyr and saving on a train fare to Barry Island and further. Just think of all them vineyards on the hillsides over Tydfil, and peaches growing by a river. We won't need no European package holidays no more. Just think of all them girls in shorts with their legs all year round practically. All them blokes with white socks and shoes living the life. Trouble is, we'd have bugger all to talk about, and visiting Cardiff might not be so easy, with the only means of transport being a jumbo submarine. Not forgetting all those refugees from anywhere south of Ponty. Don't know where we put them. Probably camps at the beacons. Second thoughts, a huge problem. Seen her out shopping, pushing her kid along. She put loads of weight on, plastered with makeup, and her hair grown long. I only recognised her because of one twinkling glance, just a cheeky smile, and we shared, all right, as she went up the high street. It all come back. Her skill on a ball, how she outplayed every boy. Her hair, crops, and nobody could have told nothing. I was a trainer then, nobody else volunteered. And she would listen while the boys carried on like they was all Beckhams. One day, a scout from Luton came to watch our game. She was totally amazing. 1 goal and 2 assists. So his eyes was boggling. What's that midfielder's name? He asked after. And when I say Donna, you should have seen his mouth gape. Shame, he said, and turned away. It was one of the best known family firms in town. Queen's Co. and run by a woman. Mine. Nobody actually knew what they produced or done, though the papers and telly loved them. People say they owned everything. Hotels, shops, farms, the lot. Others, they just inherited it. They lived in a huge house on the edge of town, high walls and security gates. They was great at opening things and putting on a Christmas lights. Oh, Liz, the boss, always waving. Then, one of her sons was under suspicion, big friends with a pedo sex trafficker. They hid him in a room and locked the door. Her grandson married this black American and took us off to live in New York, taking half the family jewellery with her. It was one of the best known family firms in town, like a whole place tumbling down. Today, on a bench in a precinct, him and her, 2 hats, sitting there in a rain like they was underwater. On their heads, they wore 2 hats of large tropical fish, like Finding Nemo tributes. One striped in yellow, the other red and flash. And nobody blinked or really stared. Their fish wobbled back and forth in a water falling rare this summer. Not sombreros or chickens or dragons for once. Crazy, colourful couple on a grey Valley's day, as we drip and sop our way between shop and shop. Their 2 hats are swimming into the tanks of our heads, round and round and round.
He wanted so much to go where the jets went that he saw, rising slowly from their roar and heading out to sea. He wanted so much to go to London, England, USA, that one day with a pint of water, a peck of beans, a piece of bread, he quietly climbed a tire's tread and settled down with the hydraulics. He died before the jet had reached the sea. His water froze, his blood froze, and 6 hours later, he tumbled onto Hounslow like a block of ice. He was 14, if it matters. They found him under a tree at the edge of a school playing field. A mile away, they found a flip-flop sandal. A cocker spaniel had the bread and beans. Known but not wanted, the radio returned. Between the slip road and the bank of weeds that lined it down to where it joined the warbling northward motorway to Leeds, I stood, all thumb and loons and Mersey sound. frisked but found clean. As satisfactory as Leicestershire's constabulary would ever find the jib of me from lip to book of effing poetry, the panda sped off to a call with the advice to, in future, keep it buttoned, chum. And so I stuck my tongue out at them twice, for honour's sake, then lifted up my thumb, and there the memory ends, and would be gone itself but for those 4 small words suspended in the static of a distant afternoon, known but not wanted. Words for a squat in Leeds to fall about at later over cider and a chillum, but deepening as time went on and darkening, till 30 years from then they almost seem my own time's final dismal reckoning. With one resentful eye, a rootling boar of some antique and noble line observes another 3B pick its way, with little shrieks and steadying hands, to an Iron Age ideal home. Inside, a Celt with braided orange hair and homemade coat pops half a Kit Kat on a beam and clears her throat, as 3B crackles smoky bacon crisps and look about with thoughtful frowns at querns, at blackened earthenware and drinking horns. Outside again and 40 projects underway, the boys are high on ancient warfare and whoop away for wagon wheels and waiting coaches, but the girls come dawdling down beside the Celt, pushing her muddy fox along the lane, and speak of an older sister's braided hair, a camping break in Tenby when it rained all week.
The hustle and bustle of Lime Street, where 1,000 feet meet entwined hydra for a split second, then go their separate ways. I grew in that city into the creature of today, there where I was scales of clumped plumage, of browns and greys. See, to me, I thought my roots were a cage around my truth, and the livers would set me free. The creatures I met, how they made me feel, mythical things, with manes and scales and feathers and wings, and I thought they held the key. But I freed myself, and it was nothing to do with my little town, and all to do with me. So now I have done my roaming, and my heart has called me home. My plumage is set on fire, in the way I always should have known. And my phoenix feathers blowing was how it was always meant to be. At home, right here in Merthyr, with you stood next to me. Who am I? The world crunches beneath my boot. My mind swirls, my heart thumps. I am an explorer, a wanderer, a nomad. I'm a warrior, a champion, a winner of nothing. I am lost. I am no one. I am nothing. I am neither happy nor sad. I am just here or there. I am unsure. The frosted wind stings my cheek. It is soothing. My eyes fighting against the frozen attack. I will not shed a tear. Not today. The wind sails through the trees. I cannot hear the sound of my music, but the thought of the sound comforts me and softens my soul. I will not shed a tear. Not today. The river flows and ebbs. I remove my music from my ears and I close my eyes. I am taken downstream. I am here. I am a warrior. I am an explorer. I am a champion of me. The tears flow freely. Good pea-sized droplets, and I let them run, and I let them hit my boot. and I let them splat on the crunch of the earth. These tears heal. I am a warrior of me. Little broken acorn, your husk is warm, your cracked, split and torn, your crown no longer fits, worn down by the storm. But you're a fighter, little acorn. How can you be so blind to the truth? You've been tossed in the waves of many seas, you've been trampled by children, you've been shadowed by trees. But you're still here, little acorn. Battered and bruised, but finding your space, little acorn. You leave the haters bemused. Keep going, little acorn. You're with your fragile soul. You're changing, little acorn, being made whole. Settle down, little acorn. Get safe and warm. The time has come, little acorn, to change and reform. Have you ever seen a seed transform? It breaks and splits and weathers the storm. It changes completely. Looks like destruction to some, but to the knowing, it's glorious. They know their time has come. So no longer little acorn, no longer so small, but glorious giant oak, from a little acorn reformed. Little acorn has been reborn.
When all you got is nothing, when all you can do is your best, when you're a working man fighting an unjust system, when the trouble and toil offers no rest, keep the faith with your brothers, keep the faith with your sisters as well, keep the faith with each other, and together we can make heaven out of hell. Honest people have always been factory fodder, never reaping the just rewards, but now the pigs have left Animal Farm, and at least we can reap what we've sown. Keep the faith with your fathers and mothers, keep the faith and together we grow. Keep the faith with each other. There's a power in a union to wipe away our foe. When all you got is nothing, then you got nothing to lose. Keep the faith, because faith is believing, and believing brings truth. Would you like to know what helpless is? Helpless is a bird with broken wings, a fish with damaged fins, a prisoner whose freedom never begins. Helpless is love in vain, a friend in pain, becoming insane, trying to recapture that moment again. Helpless is a butterfly in a jar, a hedgehog being run over by a car, a blind man looking for stars, me when I'm with you. Helpless as a wheelchair in front of stairs, twins that aren't born in pairs, living in a world that doesn't care, being stuck in a cage with a hungry bear. Helpless as being so shy that when I'm with you, I'm frightened to say what I feel about you. Can't you see I'm a child and I'm helpless?
I feel you through my veins. My heart is sore over the loss of what was. Is my Celtic soul all from what you were? Have I risen from your poverty, fear and shame? Can I turn around, go back and change? Or must I stay in limbo and read of what was and listen to what others say? Do I need atonement from others for the mistakes that were made, a forbidden truth? May I look to truth and find love conquering all.
I
I rose on the dawn of time on a mountain called Morn. I outstretched my hand and down came the sea leaf. I took a giant step to a causeway. I got out the snocked green sea. From my tears of joy came the bog. Brian Maroon was my creation, a story that had to be told. I pointed a finger of judgment at the Latin religion that arrived in a boat. It was not ours. We came from the furies, fairies, and bars. I wailed my pain with the banshees, and nature became, and nature we will go back to. My tongue was Gaelic, it was fought in the English game. Simplistic Henry came calling to take what was not his. His offspring came later to take what was not theirs. And Billy came to back it in the boiling in all his courage, fiery. Creator of genocide, Cromwell left his scars. Low lie the fields about the rye, where once watched the small free birds fly. I was a hungry breath on the wind that brought the famine and the blight. I reaped revenge in every rebellion. I put the seed of socialism in James Connolly's ear. I was a sacrifice the pastor first chose, and I wept, and they shot him, and he died by my side. I was the choice that Kevin Barry chose when he chose the gun over the medical exam. Martyrs are not born, and they simply die too young. I gave a hero in Michael Collins, who rode round on a bicycle with a 10,000 price tag on his head. And I felt the knife that was stabbed in his back by death. And I fell into despair when brother fought brother, after it had taken 700 years to get rid of the bad tenant, yet kept our north kith and kin. I hid away in my shame during the caustic Catholic years, when De Valera, along with the nuns and the priests, ripped babies from man's breasts because they fornicated and had sex outside marriage. I ran to the hills when the Celtic tiger roared, Paris! But you can seek me out. I'm in every peak fire pub with my eyes ablaze and my tongue inflamed for my desire of a united Ireland. Thank you.
Where are you really from? I was raised as Welsh in East Africa. My grandfather and his father were born in Cardiff and were Cardiff GPs. Support Wales in rugby, Mam said. Cardiff City in football, Glamorgan in cricket. So I did. At secondary school, I hated Derby County when we were beaten to promotion to the First Division. It was easy to support the rugby boys in the late 60s and early 70s. Our French teacher was Welsh, and his daughter and I joined Plaid Cymru in 1969, and we boycotted the investiture. We marched around the school protesting, and none of the bloody teachers would teach us that day because they'd been given the day off. Cardiff welcomed me in 1973 to study medicine, but I was thrown out of more than one Welsh pub because I sound like I'm posh English. And I tell you, what happened in Cardiff Arms Park will stay in Cardiff Arms Park. Then a working life in Merthyr, 3 children. But where are you from, Doctor? No, where are you really from, Doctor? I tried learning Welsh. I passed the Tebbit test for all those lean years before Ruddock and Warren. So here I stand, I can do no other, Cymru Ambith, standing at the Millennium Stadium, singing the anthem with children and grandchildren. This is the sound of heaven. This is the bread of life. Why travel? Beauty for all, here on our doorstep. How do you hold your fork? Summer holidays on Auntie Nancy's farm with 3 varieties of mango tree, pineapples growing in the border along the drive, coffee orchard fruit drying scarlet in the sun. They told me the calf was mine, and when they killed it, gave me its tail as a memento. It's in the attic now. I can't recall what happened to the rest. I learned how to churn butter and how to prepare chickens for the market. Afternoon equatorial rain drives me indoors. Come on, Jonty, time to practice your letters. Pages of F's and Y's until I get the curls straight. Learning how to care for the family bone-handled silver when I help with the washing up. Now this is how you hold a fork. It's not a shovel. Elbows up! One fork remains in the battered trunk, deep in our attic. Memories of an Edwardian family struggling to keep up. The bone is broken and loose. I couldn't use it now, but it's her fork, used in her way. My fork sometimes shovels shamelessly.
The crumbling comprehensive stood on top of a hill, like a pimple planted on a council estate. It had huge, tall windows, now blindless, as there was always insufficient funding for replacements. It stood facing the sun's glare, scorching the reluctant scholars. One April, the painters arrived. They painted the window frames, doors and cladding, but only on that one side of the school. Groundsmen miraculously appeared, bringing shrubs, plants, and even dug flower beds. To the bewildered pupils sweltering behind their desks, this rejuvenated area was strictly out of bounds. The teachers remained mute to the reasons why. In early June, a helicopter landed on the school playing fields, and the hot, sweaty pupils crowded against the blistering grass. A royal personage emerged, ignored the school completely, and was whisked away in a black limousine with a fluttering flag. The next day, the flowers and shrubs were removed, and there is still insufficient funding for new window blinds. There were kingdoms once of our kinsfolk in the north. The bards sung their praises in a land of mountain peaks and deep dark forests. Oh, there was such feasting in many a noble court after a glorious hunt. Tables of suckling boar and goblets awash with mead. But from the pagan and savage east came a blizzard of arrows. The invader brutally prevailed. Princes and poets fled or were put to the sword, leaving a dynasty of embers. And after an epoch, only names in translation, thinly scattered across a map, endure.